Welcome to Love on the Pod, a podcast about all the cheesy romantic TV movies we adore. I'm Jessica.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Sherry, and this is a very special bonus episode about the Finding Mr. Christmas show on Hallmark Plus.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the first 5 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So excited
Because
to talk about this.
we all love the show, and we thought, why the heck not?
It is so good. It is truly my favorite thing so far to watch this holiday season. It is entertaining. It's hilarious. It's endearing. It's got like very sweet emotional moments. It's so good, you guys.
I
It's
look
so
forward
good.
to it every week. And every week I think, that's a great activity. You know, we're doing a Christmas in July themed family reunion this summer. And I thought, wow, I want to take all these competitions and make our family do them. And I think it would be so much fun. And Jonathan Bennett, I mean, you can't go wrong. He is the perfect host and so funny and so engaging and so encouraging. And then you add Melissa Peterman to the mix, and I want to see those two in a movie. They are freaking hilarious.
Yes,
So
they're
funny.
so good together. Like their comedy, their timing, just I love it. They picked
Yeah,
the
I want to
perfect
see
host.
them as like warring neighbors or something.
Yes, that would be funny.
Yeah. Yep, they're great. I love them. Okay, so are we going to talk about each episode? Is that what you guys want to do?
Yeah, I was thinking
Sure.
maybe we should talk about the contestants first. Just give
Yeah.
a little, I don't know if you guys did, but I typed up a little brief summary about each one. So you can hop in
I
and
did
let
not.
me know if you have favorites, if you have not so favorites, what you think about them. So first off, the house is amazing. It's a beautiful log cabin. I don't know where they're filming. Is it Colorado or I didn't look that up. Utah. Okay. Gorgeous. And the contestants we have Jonathan. He's an entrepreneur and former track and field athlete. He actually competed in the U.S. Olympic trials. I don't know where he fared with that. He didn't go on to compete in the Olympics, but that's Jonathan. Isaac is a firefighter. He plays several instruments, including the guitar, piano, and cello, and he has 8 siblings.
Right off the bat, Isaac was my favorite. Immediately,
like
first
Isaac
episode,
yeah,
he was my immediate favorite.
He just seemed like a family guy and just really down to earth. Yeah.
Very sweet, no experience at all.
Yeah.
When it comes to acting, but gosh, what a sweetheart.
I agree. Parker, we have, he's a model. He's married. He likes to participate in Ironman competitions. Off the bat, I wasn't sure. I was on the fence about Parker, but he does not come off as cocky. Even though he has model experience, he doesn't seem like he's all full of himself, which I really appreciated. Daxton, who I love, he's an actor. And they didn't actually, I don't think they mentioned this, but he has performed in over 1,000 performances of the Book of Mormon on Broadway and on a national tour.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that they didn't mention that on the show. At least they haven't so far, because that's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Well, because they made such a big deal about
Elijah.
Who
I also love.
Yeah.
Elijah was my other favorite. And my immediate favorites, episode 1, Isaac and Elijah. They were just my favorite. Yes. But yeah, Elijah was in Hamilton
for 5 years.
Many, many years. Yeah. And which is amazing and great experience for a show like this. But I just thought it was interesting that they made such a big deal about that, but they didn't mention, Daxton also has a lot of, theater experience.
Yeah, he does.
Well, and I wonder if this show, obviously it's scripted to a point, it has to be so that they can keep things on track. But I wonder if it's less scripted, because when Elijah mentioned that he had been in Hamilton, Jonathan looked shocked. Like he looked like he had no clue. So I wonder if it was just like, well, it's up to you to mention that. And if you don't mention it, then we're not going to bring it up, So.
Yeah,
or
you wonder
Jonathan
how much
Bennett is a really good actor.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
But you wonder if they didn't give him like a thorough backstory on all the guys so that it would be more natural when he gets to know them as they go along. Maybe that was the deal.
Yeah.
Next, we have Blake. He's a former college football player turned sales manager. And I forgot to write down what college he went to, but somewhere in the South, or he grew up in the South because he's got that very strong Southern accent.
Yeah,
So he's from
Beaumont, Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, love Blake.
Of a cowboy.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
He can do no wrong. Love that guy.
Yep.
He's got no acting experience, but he just rolls with it. And he just seems so genuine, like somebody you'd want to have as a friend. David is an aerospace engineer. Elijah is a self-proclaimed theater nerd, and as we mentioned, he spent 5 years touring with Hamilton. Ezra is a model and former Navy rescue diver. Ezra was not feeling it at the beginning. I didn't like him. I thought he was cocky and full. Yeah. And as we go along, we'll talk about it because my feelings have changed. But the very first episode, I was like, I don't like this guy. So it's funny how first impressions hit differently with different people. After Ezra, we have Hayden. He's a children's entertainer from Australia. He volunteers at a local animal shelter, helping dogs find new homes. He's one of my favorites. He is so sweet. Yeah, animals are his life. Very engaging.
My favorite.
Yep. And then we have Gage, a marketing consultant and former Manny of 3 boys, which I could totally see him as a Manny. I could see him having a great time with kids. He loves to work with children. Not my favorite. Let's just lay it on the table. By any stretch of the imagination.
That he is probably a good dude.
Yeah.
He just came on too strong. He was
cocky.
really full of himself, really overconfident. And I think we do see a little bit of an evolution of Gage where he is realizing, okay, maybe I need to reevaluate, take a look in the mirror a little bit, humble myself, and learn a few things from this experience.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I'm not that much better than everybody else here. You know, it's because the other guys had nothing bad to say about him. Like nobody ever said, oh, he's a jerk or whatever. So I think he was just kind of digging his own grave, you know, and yeah.
And I don't know how much of that was just in the one-on-one interviews.
That's
if he was like just trying to make himself look good or I'm not sure because he did seem very kind. It seemed like he was building good relationships with the other guys.
Yeah.
But he just loved himself a little too much.
And it could come back to, you know, fake your confidence until you have your confidence. And maybe that was his way of building himself up and by saying, you know, I'm this great actor. I've had all this experience and, you know, I've got this in the bag. And maybe that's his way of telling himself, okay, buddy, you got this. And really, he didn't always.
He didn't got this.
He didn't got it.
Sorry, Gage.
Handsome. You have a nice smile. I'm sure you're a nice guy.
Yes.
We'd love to talk to you. You can redeem yourself.
Yes. Tell us about all the lessons you've learned.
And he wasn't on par with any of like The Bachelor.
No.
Bad guys.
No, certainly
like
not. In fact, if he had been on The Bachelor, he probably would have been the golden boy. Compared to some of those guys, I mean, he was not a villain by any means.
No. Nor is there one at all.
No, I felt like it was so refreshing to not have somebody come on in their talking head interview and say, I'm not here to make friends.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. I'm here for the wrong reason.
Yeah. They seem like they're all there to make friends.
Yeah.
You know what I did notice though? You know how on The Bachelor, there's always that line that everybody says. There's always like some kind of catchphrase that everybody keeps saying, like, I'm here for the right reasons, or I can't even think of any example off the top of my head, but they all always kind of say the same thing in their interviews. And it's like they talk to each other so much that each other's vocabulary rubs off and they just start to sound a lot like each other. And I've noticed that throughout this show that every single one of these guys is constantly saying either this is totally in my wheelhouse or this is not really in my wheelhouse. Like, how many wheelhouses do we have, boys? Like, what? That's so funny. Every interview, somebody's talking about their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I'm like, what actually is a wheelhouse? I
What
don't
is a
really know.
wheelhouse? And these challenges, are they really in anybody's wheelhouse? It's not something that they've probably ever done before,
No.
except for the wrapping paper, perhaps. But it's no, this is supposed to be new and push you out of your comfort zone and see what you can do with it. So, which brings us to episode 1 and
Yeah.
the festive face off.
Yeah, so every episode has 2 challenges, right? We've got the festive face off, which is like a Christmas holiday challenge, some kind of a fun exercise, right?
That
And
has
then
nothing
they
to do with acting at
nothing,
all.
absolutely nothing. It's just like show us your Christmas cheer and creativity. I think it's really mainly for building personality, getting to know who they are as a person, seeing their creative side, and also seeing who they are as a person and how they interact with each other. Because we see that often in all of these challenges, they throw little curveballs in there just to test their heart, which I think is really fun.
Test their
And then
heart.
this,
How do they work under pressure? Can they rise to the challenge? Yeah, it's fun.
yes, exactly. Yeah. So then we have a second challenge in every episode that is the star quality challenge. And this is really where we see their acting capability, their star quality, how they would do in Hollywood, on
Yes.
Hallmark, etc.
So during the festive face off, they have to design ugly Christmas sweaters in this first
So
episode.
fun.
And first of all, I just wanted to say, when they bring Melissa Peterman out, because this is the first time we see her is during the festive face off, she's wearing this blue velvet little mini dress that perfectly matches her eyes. And it is so pretty. She looks gorgeous. I
am
love her
little
fashion.
mini dresses are so cute.
Everything, yes, everything she wears in this whole series. I'm obsessed. She
Her
always looks so cute.
Yeah, she looks
Which
beautiful.
is so awesome because when she played Barbara Jean on Reba, she was not looking real cute.
No,
it was
I
like
was
Paulette
not into it.
Yes, yes. So the festive face off, we've got them designing their Christmas sweaters. They only had 10 minutes to do it, or 15 minutes. It was
quick.
very short.
Those glue guns barely had time to heat up.
Yeah. You've got glitter and tinsel and garland and all kinds of felt and pom-poms.
Oh my gosh. Like picket fences that you would put around like a Christmas village that they're gluing to sweaters.
Cutting the sleeves off and making Santa hats or socks.
Yeah, and Hayden used the sleeves and made leg warmers. I thought that was genius.
Yes, brilliant.
So I thought Blake had the best runway walk. He was first, I believe, and he had a great walk. And he told Melissa, "Don't get too close to the fire because sugar melts." And I thought, okay, I see you.
Yeah,
that is when he won the hearts of all America.
Yes, yes. And then Daxton, he pranced down the runway, which was very funny.
He sure did. Yes, he sure did.
With his face covered in glitter, he was into it.
He looked great. He went all out on his sweater and his performance. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't really think anyone did a bad job on this challenge.
No.
It was a really fun way to kick off the show because not only did they have to create this sweater and walk the runway, but they also had to explain the sweater and how it represents them. And so it was really cool to see what everybody did. And I think this was really the moment I decided that Isaac was my favorite because his sweater was so sweet. It incorporated so many aspects of his life. It had the fire on it because he's a firefighter, but also because his family had a fire when he was a kid.
House fire.
A house fire, which kind of inspired him to then become a firefighter. It had representation of all 8 of his siblings. It had such a beautiful story. And I just was like, oh, what a sweet, sweet, genuine man. So yeah, it was just really fun to kind of kick off the show, getting to know everybody through their Christmas sweaters, which I thought was a really creative little touch.
And some you saw, they kind of just went with the creative embellishments, and some of them really focused on telling a story. And Isaac was the one that really told. In fact, he ended up winning the challenge. And yeah, it was great. I loved that.
Yep, I agree. And he had the picket fence on his sweater. Right? Was he the one with the picket fence in front of the house?
He might have been. I don't remember.
I can't remember. Or was that Blake? I can't remember now.
Somebody
But
had
yeah.
a picket fence and it was
Yeah.
real cute, and Melissa Peterman loved it.
It was like a wooden picket fence. It wasn't
Yeah.
like made out
Like
of
a
felt.
craft store fence.
Yeah, you'd put it around your Christmas village. It
Yeah.
was legit.
Yeah.
Hayden, though, I will say, he made me cry this episode with his dog on the sweater,
Oh.
and the story about how he had been recently divorced, and his best buddy, his dog, was with his ex-partner, and just he was so emotional and broke my heart a little bit. Broke my heart.
So sad.
I was like, I was not expecting to cry on this show. This is weird.
No, but our pets become a part of our family, and it was just, I could totally relate to that because losing a pet is terrible.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember if it was this episode or a different one, but he was talking about how he hopes against all hope that the dog just forgets about him so that he's not sad. And I was like,
I wonder why he
won't.
left.
No,
He won't.
He won't. No.
No.
No, and it makes you wonder, was it such a volatile breakup that they can't share custody, or he can't visit the dog, or do they live too far apart? I don't know.
Well,
But-
I got the impression that she lives in Australia,
Yeah.
When he's here now.
that he
In the
came
States.
here after their split, because
Yeah.
he has a very, very wonderful Australian accent. It's
Yes.
really
Mhm.
nice to listen to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I would like to hear his American accent because
Yes.
we know that they do often make people with accents put on an
Mhm.
American accent on the Hallmark
Mhm.
channel. Thank you,
Yeah.
Daniel Lissing.
Yep.
And I would
And
love to hear
sometimes,
it.
like Daniel Lissing, they're really good at it, and you have no idea.
Mhm.
No idea.
Yeah.
And other times, you know
Mhm.
right away. Or they don't make them put on an American accent, and you're like, this doesn't make sense to the storyline. Why does this person have an accent? I watched a movie last night where the guy was British. His kids weren't British. His parents weren't British. He had a very, very strong British accent. And I was just like, where is this? How? This
What?
did not come from a summer abroad. Like, what is this?
That's
It's not a
funny.
Madonna situation.
I know.
Oh,
Well, so
gosh.
Isaac won the very first festive face-off, and then we move on to the Star Quality Challenge, which is a wreath-making meet cute with Aaron Cahill. So it's an
Mhm.
acting challenge. We have Parker versus David, and Jonathan versus Ezra, Elijah versus Gage, Hayden versus Daxton, and Isaac versus Blake. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
so this was cool to see them in a scene together, but kind of battling it out because they're fighting for Aaron's attention during the
Mhm.
scene. And it was a really fun scene. It had a lot of comedy in it. And some of the guys really hit the nail on the head, and some of
Mhm.
them really, really fell short. And this was a little bit sad and hard to watch.
Yes.
Because for many
Yeah.
of them, this is their first time acting ever. And then on top of that, you put it on this reality show in front of Jonathan Bennett, in front of Melissa
Mhm.
Peterman. I can't remember, were the other guys watching at this point? Because some of the challenge they do and some
No.
of them they don't. I don't
I
think
don't
they
think
were
they
watching.
were.
They're in the studio-ish, but I don't think they were close enough to be maybe visible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to be very first up, having not really acted, Parker and David, they did okay. You could tell they were nervous. They didn't really fully commit, especially Parker.
Mm-hmm.
But they did all right. Better than I would think I would do.
Well, yeah,
Jonathan
and
and
they're
Ezra.
acting opposite Aaron. I always say her last name wrong. Somebody help
Cahill?
me here.
Cahill.
Cahill, yes. They're acting opposite Erin Cahill, and she is just a gem. She is so good
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
and has been in so many Hallmark movies. And so it's like, okay, we're throwing you in.
Yeah.
See how
Better
you
do
do.
it.
No
Mhm.
pressure.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have props to work with because they're supposed to be at this wreath making class. And so they have to figure out how to
Mhm.
navigate the props, find their camera, hit their lines, engage with their co star, which I'm sure they're a little bit starstruck at this point as well.
Mhm.
So it's a lot right out of the gate. And so overall, I think most of them did a great job. Jonathan and Ezra, Jonathan was the clear winner. Ezra really kind of struggled.
Mhm.
And some of them,
Elijah, who was his partner?
Elijah and Gage.
That was hard to watch.
It was very
It
hard to
was
watch.
manic. It was like,
Yeah. It
Because-
seemed like an 8th grade ASB leadership competition at an assembly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was like just chaos.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to get the girl. No, I'm trying to get the girl. And they're both kind of, and even Elijah, having had a lot of stage acting experience, he's a good actor, but playing against Gage was tough because Gage was very over the top and trying to hit his lines, but still trying to be the star in the moment. And so I put Gage was way too pushy and his ego got in his own way because he really felt like he nailed this.
So it seems after they left the stage, they both thought they did a great job, though. They really were like confident. They had a plan and they executed it. And then Jonathan is like, they were playing to each other instead of to Aaron.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was two bros, at a craft fair, and she was just kind of this side character.
Yeah.
Did you forget you're supposed to be working with your leading lady?
Yeah, she's not just the extra wreath class instructor.
No, she's not an accessory.
She's your target. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Hayden was my favorite.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
he and Daxton did a great job playing off each other while still being engaged with Aaron, finding their camera.
Yeah.
Hayden was the one that threw the ribbon over his shoulder, wasn't he?
Yes.
Brilliant.
I have one.
Absolutely brilliant. That
was
he
a
just
great way.
Tossed it over his shoulder and was like, I don't have any ribbon. Like, that was such a great comedic moment, such good timing, such a good way to use his props. And I wondered too, like, did they have any kind of coaching before they started this? Like, hey guys, when you're doing this, make sure you find your camera, make sure that you're using your props, make sure, like any kind of pointers. I don't think I saw anything like that.
They had a script they had to memorize. So I think it was just to see how they would do in this situation, given no coaching. And when he, when they're supposed to be making this wreath and they're supposed to have this ribbon and he tosses it over his shoulder and he's like, I don't think I got one. That immediately brought the attention of Aaron to him. And so they had this little interaction, which was genius.
Yep. Brilliant. And you could see in Jonathan and Melissa's reaction too. They were like, oh my gosh.
Like, yes.
That was great.
That's what I want to see.
Yes.
Yeah. It was wonderful. He did so well. He was awesome.
And then finally we had Isaac and Blake, and poor Isaac's nerves got the best of him. He really struggled and I was pulling for him. Yeah.
Even when they were practicing, I was like, is he going to talk this slow during the actual shoot? It was so slow. It was like he was trying to be suave and like debonair, but instead it just seemed like, are you trying to remember your lines? What is happening right now?
Yeah.
It was so slow. And I just was like, no, Isaac, you're my favorite. Why are you blowing this right now?
Yeah. I think he was totally overthinking it. And there's such a thing as a dramatic pause, but a well-placed dramatic pause, not after every 2 words.
Every word.
A dramatic pause, like, what does Joey Tribbiani call it? Smell the fart acting?
Yes. And you look up.
Yeah.
And then you continue. You might nod your head.
I think maybe he took some acting pointers from Joey Tribbiani.
I think that's a strong possibility.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
sorry,
Hayden,
Isaac.
no surprise, won that challenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
He was
it was
wonderful.
great. And Blake did some great little moments of improv. I think probably because he forgot his lines, but he just rolled with it. He didn't hesitate, and there was no indication that I don't know what I'm supposed to say. He just made something up, which is great.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So
then sadly, somebody goes home.
Yeah. They move on to the elimination, like the rose ceremony, but it's the elimination ceremony. They're all dressed very nicely. They have a snowy backdrop, and somebody has to go home.
It looks like they're in an ice cave. It's like, where's Elsa?
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It is cool.
I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't give something out. Like, will you accept this candy cane? I was missing those dramatics a little bit.
Huh?
But they do name, the winner of the challenge. And then they have the 2 low men come down and talk about what they could have done better. And then one of them goes home and one of them is safe. So we know that unfortunately in this very first episode, Isaac is sent home.
Yes.
And I suppose there is a little bit of dramatics that I did enjoy when you have to take your stocking down because you are going home for the holidays. So
Yes.
they have to go back to the house and take their stocking off the mantle. Very sad.
Yep.
And I was like, are you kidding me? My number one favorite pick goes home the first episode. Great, Danielle. You know how to pick them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Hayden was the winner of that challenge, obviously. But yeah, so then we move on to episode 2, Mr. December.
Yes. And this festive face-off for this episode was wrapping presents, which Gage also was very confident in. And I have a little Gageism that I wrote down. My mom was a professional gift wrapper. I know the secrets. I know the ins and outs. Spoiler alert, he does not.
He does not. He is so confident once again. And just because we talked about this before off air, just because your mom is a professional gift wrapper does not mean you're genetically predisposed to wrapping gifts. Your dad could be a brain surgeon and you could be a dumbass.
Yeah. Did she teach you how? Did you go to work with her often?
Yeah.
Do you have any experience wrapping gifts at all? Because my 13-year-old son can do a better job wrapping than he did.
Yeah, I could see if she
didn't even wrap one of his gifts.
No, she shared no trade secrets other than you're going to need some tape and some paper maybe, but that's about as far as it goes.
Do a good job.
Yeah, so for this festive face-off, they each had to select a gift from under the tree, and some of them were very awkwardly shaped gifts, and they had very short amount of time to wrap them. What was it, like 3 minutes or something? It was like barely any time.
Very quick. They had, so everybody had a box, and then they also had an awkwardly shaped gift from under the tree. So like at the very least, they should have been able to wrap these very simple boxes easily, but these boys were struggling, let me tell you.
Well, yes, they were. They use gift bags at home, you can tell.
Yeah, for sure.
Or their mom wraps their presents for them, their wives.
Well, and what I loved about Daxton is that he struggled with the actual wrapping of the gifts, but he just kept adding embellishments, you know. If you can't get your corners right, just add some more glitter, add another bow, add another bow, add another bow. It was very
Melissa
festive and very
Peterman
him.
called it, she called it Mount Vesuvius bows.
Yeah, and Parker, I was so disappointed because he chose the giant, like the huge Costco bear.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, how is he going to do this? He's going to wrap it around his head, around his little arms, make him a little mummy situation. He just put a bow on him. And I'm like, oh, dude, you just totally phoned in that whole challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. If I were giving that gift at home, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
But the challenge is to wrap an awkwardly shaped gift. And he did not wrap it. He just put a bow on it. And that wasn't the challenge.
That's definitely the hardest one, I think. The bear.
Yeah. Why pick that one? Crazy?
Yeah. Well, if you're picking it because you want to prove that you can rise to the challenge and really cover this whole thing in paper and ribbon and bows, great. But he didn't. He just like slapped on a ribbon and called it good.
Yeah, so he could have wrapped that thing up in paper. He could have.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been pretty, but he could have done it.
Yep, totally. So who won this festive face-off?
I think it was Daxton. Wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, with his pile of bows. Yes.
Christmas joy.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And as a side note, I wrote, I love the way all the men are so supportive of one another. Yes, it's competition, but they really cheer one another on and really support one another. And if one is feeling low, they lift him up. And it's just really, it's not like Bachelor where it's like, you know, suck it up. This guy's a loser. I'm going to talk up behind his back. And when they're drinking beverages, it's like coffee and tea and cocoa, and they're not getting schmammered like they do on The Bachelor and turning into idiots. It's just
everyone constantly has a glass of champagne.
It's just this fun, festive competition. And yes, they're all there to win, but they're really rooting for one another, which I thought was so cool. And you see that throughout the whole series.
Well, even when they're talking about Gage in this episode, it's in like a joking way of like, oh yeah, Gage, you know, he kept saying how good he was going to be at rapping and he wasn't, you know, it's, you know, he talks a big game, but it wasn't like, oh, this idiot over here
No,
doesn't know
yeah,
what
it
he's
was
doing.
like guys poking fun at each other, like, you know, that friends do in a kind way.
Or like we would in our family too. It's like, oh, hey, I thought you were this great wrapping
thought
paper.
you were so good at this. What happened?
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, it really does seem like all of them kind of have the mentality of, if I'm going to win, I want to win against the best, you know? They want to support each other. They want to see each other succeed.
And I think also part of it is you're being watched by the king of Hallmark, who he knows what kind of person he wants to work with, right? Like, if you're a jerk, nobody is going to want to work with you. And based on my limited interactions with Hallmark actors and actresses, it does not appear that they hire people who are a-holes.
No.
So.
And just being on the cruise and then seeing afterwards some of the videos and things from the cruise, they are all just buddies and have such a good time together. It's just this big, joyful experience. So I would like to think that that's what filming a Hallmark movie is all about as well. And do we know, is Jonathan actually going to act in this movie that results from Finding Mr. Christmas, or is he producing?
I would assume he's producing, but I don't know.
It would be cool if him and Melissa Peterman at least had like a cameo.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. So then we move on to the Star Quality Challenge. And this time it's a hunky Mr. December photo shoot. But surprise, you're going to pose with a puppy. Which
so cute.
So cute.
And Tyler Hines is there as their guest coach.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a great little surprise.
Yes.
And this is the one where they had some fans too, right? Some super fans. Yes.
These girls were super fans of the shirtless men. That's what they were super fans of.
Yeah. I don't think they were Hallmark super fans. I think they were like, take it off.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Which I will say, this challenge, I was a little unsure about, because I just was like, is this really showing their Hallmark star quality? Is it typical to do a shirtless photo shoot?
And that's what I was thinking too, because it's like I could see the photo with the Christmas decor in the backdrop and the cute puppy and the close-up. But when they started taking off their shirts, I'm like, okay, dudes, this is not a Hallmark photo shoot. Have you ever seen the cover of a DVD or a movie poster where the guy's just standing there all flexed, puppy under his arm?
And that's what I wish it would have been. I wish it would have been a movie cover photo shoot. Like they could have had a co-star that they had to pose with, and maybe even a puppy too. But to create like this picture for the movie, I think that would have made more sense. This whole idea of like the random props and the shirtless dudes, I'm like, where's the shirtless Hallmark calendar? That doesn't exist. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, it read more Netflix than Hallmark for me. Yeah.
Well, you know, they have Tyler Hines as the coach. He is arguably the most popular Hallmark hunk. And I've never seen him with his shirt off, ever.
No.
I don't think we ever will.
He doesn't need to.
He kept saying, like, these guys all look better than me. But I also think that Blake was first, right? I think, for the photo shoot. He took his shirt off, and I think he started the ball rolling. Then
everyone felt like they needed to do that.
I would have loved to see somebody say, you know what, I'm not going to take my shirt off, and I'm going to do it differently, you know?
Yes.
This is more Hallmark brand. I'm going to leave my shirt on.
But, oh my gosh, this episode, I cried. When Hayden got the puppy, and then they showed the little montage of his Archie.
Yes. I was like, oh, what are you doing to me? This is supposed to be a funny show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was so sweet and so sad. You just felt so much for him. And Tyler's like, what's wrong? I don't understand what's happening.
Right, because he didn't have the knowledge ahead of time.
No.
Yeah. But he was
Melissa
very
comes
sweet.
in with a mom hug and so sweet.
Yeah. Yep. So who was your favorite during this photo shoot?
I liked Blake's kind of playful creativity where didn't he have a hobby horse too? And he jumped up in the air.
And the robe and the cowboy hat.
And holding the poor puppy's heads flop all over the place. But I thought Daxton was great with the puppy, very authentic and fun, but he still found his camera and looked where he was supposed to look instead of being, I mean, because that's got to be hard, right? You don't know that a puppy's being thrown into the mix, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness. So the tendency is to get right in the puppy's face and forget
It's
that
so
you're
hard
even,
to focus.
you're even
Yeah.
on camera.
Yeah.
No surprise, I thought Parker did a great job. He's got modeling experience. He knew how to pose. He knew where to look. And I thought he got some great photos. Elijah was too many props.
What was happening?
Too much theater kid. Too
Yeah.
much
Yes,
theater kid
the
going on.
turkey hat with the Christmas lights and the big old Santa glasses.
Huh?
Like, you can't even see his face anymore. He's covered up everything. He has this like magnificent hair that he covers with the turkey hat.
Yeah.
And then his whole face is practically covered by these giant jingle bell glasses. I just was like, this is not working.
He
Well,
lost
he
sight
said-
of the challenge. Yeah.
Like, Santa
Yeah.
had too many glasses of eggnog and kind of lost his marble.
He said he wanted to be crazy, sexy, cool, but I think crazy was the only part that
Yeah,
he nailed.
there was
That's
no
the part,
sexy.
yeah.
There was no.
Which, again, that speaks to his theater kid background, but remember what the challenge is. Remember
Right.
who your
Right.
audience is and what you want the final product to look like. This would not make any movie poster on any planet.
No.
So,
Actually, yesterday I was listening to an interview, a podcast interview with Meg Donnelly, who plays Addison in the Zombies movies.
Mm-hmm.
And she grew up in theater, and she was talking about how much you have to reel it in when you start doing movies, because you cannot be gigantic like you are when you're on a stage. You have to command an audience, you have to command the whole stage, but you have to really be smaller on camera, because unless you're on the Disney Channel, she said, because it doesn't work.
that makes sense.
So it's, you think like, oh, they're a great actor on stage, there that will translate to film, but it doesn't always translate.
Right. Which was interesting. We saw in the first episode with Elijah where he seemed a little bit lost behind the camera without having that big stage. So yeah, it's interesting to see because you can be a great actor on stage, but are you a great actor behind the camera? And then the same goes the other way around. You might be an excellent movie actor, but put you on a stage and it's like,
You don't know
not
how
so
to
good.
play to the big room. Yeah, because on film, there are these small little intimate moments. It's not grand gestures for the whole audience to see all the way to the back. So that's got to be a tricky balance if you do both.
And one thing during this challenge was that Ezra, I don't know a better way to say this, so I'm just going to say it. He really knew how to move his body. Like he knew like where to position himself.
He knew his angles.
Whereas David
Did not.
David.
He was the guy sitting on a log.
He should have kept his sweater. Like if he had a turtleneck sweater on, that would have fixed a lot of what was happening.
Yeah.
He just didn't know what to do. You could tell he had no experience in front of the camera. And I felt terrible for him because he's great and he's like a good looking dude. But this was not his challenge.
No, it wasn't. And it could have been. He just needed to take a different approach instead of trying to follow what everybody else did.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think with the right direction, he totally could have nailed it, but he just didn't know. It's like, I love to be behind the camera. I love to take photos. You put me in front of the camera, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. How do I stand? Where do I put my hand? Exactly. Yeah. And then there's Gage, who once again thought he nailed it, but he was too involved with the puppy. In every shot, he had his mouth open. He's supposed to be this great model, and he's just smiling this huge smile with his mouth open, which he has a very nice smile naturally, but he didn't look at the camera. He looked at the dog, and even after he saw his photos, he's like, I did this. I'm so great.
No, sir.
Delusional.
Yeah.
It was not good. It was not a good situation.
I don't understand that. Is this a mistake that I'm in the bottom too? Like, no, it's not a mistake.
No.
We can't see
Do
your
you
face.
need glasses? I think you need glasses. I will say that Daxton, I think, just hit a home run with this challenge. He was just by far the clear winner of this challenge. He did an awesome job.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great.
Didn't win this challenge, right?
No, it was Parker.
No, Parker won.
You're
Daxton
right.
was in the top.
Yeah.
But Parker won.
Yeah, I think Daxton should have won. I thought he was just...
I agree.
It was great. All of his pictures. He somehow turned a shirtless photo into like something wholesome. I don't know how he did that. Like he just looked very sweet and charming, and it didn't feel like steamy. It just felt very sweet, and like he seems like someone I would really like to be around, you know?
Yeah. Like I was just running around the farm with my puppy, and I took my shirt off because it was hot, not because I'm feeling all sweaty and manly. It's just
it was just really sweet, and I thought he really exuded the whole idea of a Hallmark leading man. It was just very, very genuine, very sweet, silly, cute photos, and yeah, I think he should have won. Yes, Parker did a good job, but he's a model. Like they were model photos, and I just don't really care.
Yeah. We expected him to do a good job and nail it, and I agree. Yeah, they were model photos. Really, did they really capture the essence of Hallmark? No. Maybe not. I think Daxton did a much better job capturing what it is to be Hallmark leading man.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. And, let's be honest about the cover photos for movies. They're not
usually
always
terrible.
Great. They're a prom photo.
Yeah, take Hot Frosty, for example.
Yeah,
that was Netflix, but...
yes, that's true.
It's absolutely a prom photo with a sickly snowman and a woman that looks like she's trying to signal for help.
He took his mom to prom, yeah.
It was not... I can't say enough bad things about that movie.
Oh my gosh.
People love it. People love that movie, and I did not.
They've all been tricked. It's not good. It's not a good movie.
To finish it.
I didn't even finish it. I fell asleep, and I was like, I'm not watching the rest of that.
We know how it ends. Yeah.
Okay, so Parker wins that star quality challenge, and then David goes home.
Yeah. David goes home to work on his angles, and maybe if there's a next season, he can come back and redeem himself. Who knows?
Yes. Maybe. I don't know.
Not feeling it.
He was kind of, I don't want to be mean, but he was kind of forgettable for me. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't really have any shining moments.
No.
And you've got to stand out.
Smudge.
He's smudge.
We're creating our own vocabulary here on Love on the Pod.
Smudge a wooz it.
What does that mean?
Toilet.
God. No, I hear enough of that all day.
Okay, so Sigma.
Dang kids. I don't even know what any of it means.
I don't know what any of it means.
They say this crap all the time. I'm like, what are you saying? I don't know if you're being nice or rude.
I don't remember.
So, I mean, we talked to each other
Shore
in Pig
did.
Latin.
Did you see that video where Pauly Shore?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So anyways, what I was going to say is that in such a small group of people, you can't hide in the middle for very long. So
surely can't.
You have to pick your moment.
Especially when it's a star quality competition.
Yeah.
You have to stand out or you're going home.
Yep.
So David took his stocking down, and he sadly went home for the holidays.
Yes. Goodbye, David.
Goodbye, David. On to episode 3.
Yes.
Which starts with devastation.
Ugh. Heartbreak. Tragedy.
Yeah.
Everything is wrong.
We had so much fun discussing the first 5 episodes of Finding Mr. Christmas that we decided to split it into 2 different episodes. We hope you loved this one, and please tune in again on Friday to hear us discuss episodes 3, 4, and 5. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you soon. Bye.